of all, welcome everybody to this joint event, Future Schools and Academy of Entrepreneurs. This is the third session of a sequence or a series, if you like, in preparation for our Boss Your Future effort later in term 4. So welcome. I'm going to now hand over to Paula, who's going to lead today's session. Peter will no doubt jump in with insights as we move through the conversation. If there are any comments or questions or considerations, please pop them in the chat and we'll obviously unpack them either throughout the session or at the end. So I will now hand the ball over to you, Paula. Away you go, run with it.
Thank you. Thanks. Honoured to be here with you guys again. And please feel free to turn on your cameras and stop me as I'm talking and ask questions, because there's no, like entrepreneurship, but there's no rules. There's no rules to any of my presentations. So feel free to stop me, ask me questions. And yeah, we're here to help you guys create this amazing impact they're already creating. Now it's just about like rocket fueling and creating even more. So today's topic was meant to be on how to manage and make, how to manage money, but I decided to change it and add how to manage and make money, because it's all about managing our money, saving, and also making. So I think it's very important when we talk to students, the importance of having money, making money, managing, and saving it as well. So I've added a few extra words to the title. As always, I'm breaking all of the rules. I am so sorry. So today's session is done on Zoom. Feel free to turn on your beautiful cameras and put out your smiles, ask me questions, here to help you guys during and after, anytime. You guys know I'm part of the family, so you can always count on me. So you guys know Future Schools. We love Future Schools. They're our favorite partner and it's creating an amazing impact. And I was recently speaking to Peter about it. Every time I speak to a Future School member, it's like we're all vibrating the same amount of passion and energy towards creating this sustainable disruption together. So thank you, Future Schools, for existing. Please stop copy pasting yourselves around the whole world. We need you guys everywhere. So about Academy of Entrepreneurs, we are, in simple terms, the world's first accredited incubator. We're a TAFE for entrepreneurs. We're 100% of the classes are run by entrepreneurs. And this is why we're able to bring, I guess, 100% success for our students, because there's unlimited opportunities out there in the world. And if you're mentored and if you're networking with the best entrepreneurs, you will always succeed. Life is full of challenges. Being an entrepreneur, there's challenges every day. But if you have the right network with the right tools and connections, you'll always find the answers and progress forward. So we are here on the third session in preparation for our Boss Your Future scholarship program that will start in the first week of term 4, which we're so excited. We're like a month away, which is so awesome. So the program is going to be 5 weeks, where hopefully you guys are pulling 3 weeks out of your curriculum for the next, for the first 5 weeks of term 4. 2 weeks of 2 hours of self-paced and 1 hour of live mentoring. We started interviewing some of the amazing mentors for your school. So thank you. Thanks, Mel, for sending me who you guys want as an entrepreneur. It's been amazing. Yeah, and we haven't even like reached out on LinkedIn and told the entrepreneurs to like share the connections. And I think we've already like, yeah, overdone the amount of entrepreneurs that we've got. So it's like super, super, super exciting. If you need more information on the program, please just visit bossyourfuture.com.au. We've tried to put all the information there. So today we're going to be talking about personal finance. Before we start talking about making money, we need to look at our personal finances, which is a huge mistake. We see a lot of people getting really excited about becoming an entrepreneur, but they haven't looked after the foundation. So I thought we'd take steps back before we start looking at making money. Again, you guys have seen me every week talking about setting goals. It's so important for us to set goals because then we know the direction we're able to achieve those goals, managing expenses and budgeting. For some reason, I don't know how in the conversation, this point got in, should I avoid credit cards? So you guys will see my advice on credit cards. I was shocked when I saw that as the title. I'm like, how did I go there? Credit cards and entrepreneurship. But we'll talk about it in a second. The beauty of saving, which I'm so passionate about talking about, investing for a better tomorrow. And also as a bonus, I thought as always, I'd add an extra point, which is revenue models. So how are we going to operate our businesses and make money? I'm going to be covering, I think, 8 or 10 revenue models, but in the course, you guys are going to be getting about 30 of them for your students. So it's a super cool topic. So golden rule of personal finance. So as I've mentioned before, money is absolutely everywhere. Money does not evaporate. It just goes from someone's wallet to someone else's wallet or someone's bank account to someone else's bank account. And money's everywhere. But what we need to do is hack our brains and our students' brain, having the right mindset to go, how do I capture that? I will be bringing in some really cool, simple examples today that I've seen some amazing young entrepreneurs in schools. So I will teach you guys some ways of capturing it. But that's pretty much the goal of today. Is money's everywhere. How do we capture that ethically to create businesses that make the world a better place? But before we start organizing the extra income, because I know that a lot of people consider entrepreneurship as a step to make extra income before setting it up as a big business, it's very important for us to look at the foundation, which is your personal finance. And I love this example. Matt, who designed our Finance for Startups class over in San Francisco, he shared this example the first time he taught this class, and I stole his slides because I just think it's amazing. So when we talk about building a business and finance, it's literally the same of when we get on a plane. When we get on a plane, one of the first things we hear is, case of emergency, put your oxygen mask first. And logically what you think is, I've got a kid next to me, let me save the kid or help the elderly. But the reality is that once you put your mask, you can help many lives. But if you put a mask on a kid or someone with maybe disability next to you that your heart goes toward, and you will help them. But if you help them first, maybe that won't give you enough time to help yourself so you can help more people. And that is something super important when we're talking about entrepreneurship for our students, is have the right foundation, put your oxygen mask first, and I'll share with you guys little ways that we can do that with the students. Simple way that we run obviously with adult students is track your weekly expenses. Well, hopefully most of our students in high schools aren't paying for rent. I have seen students paying for rent, helping the parents out with a mortgage, but hopefully most of our students are in a situation where they don't have to help with rent. But I was calculating like those bubble teas, like $10, $20 for a bubble tea. It's like, every time I take my goddaughters out, they're like, we have bubble tea, and they come with all the girlfriends, and I'm like, this is gonna break my bank account for like, and the thing is disgusting. So it's just like bubble tea. How much are they spending on public transport? It's like, what is the right time to travel? And do you need to catch public transport? Can you walk 2 extra like blocks? Like, do you really need to spend money? Sorry, I was born in Brazil, but raised in Africa. So if there's one thing I know is the importance of saving money. And we need to teach that for the students. Before we teach them how to make money, is how do you save money? Mobile, like everyone wants a new phone. I went to buy some new phones. I got them upstairs. I went to buy some new phones the other day, and you walk in and they're trying to sell you the plan. Oh, the phone comes for free. And before I knew, like, because we were buying so many new phones, I'm like, we don't need all these plans. All I need is the phone. We've already got a good plan. But you get stuck in all of these things that are unnecessary. And also internet. Everything we buy these days, there's a top up of this and insurance. Do you really need? If you're going to buy internet, buy the basic. And if you need it faster, if you have more staff working with you, then you start growing. So it's important for us to look at that. Every time we do this activity with the students, we go, you're going to put your expenses now. And by the end of today, you're canceling 10% minimum out of your expenses. And interestingly, 100% of the time, all of them can save more than 10% within that same day for the monthly expenses. So before we look at helping the world, building businesses, oxygen mask first is cut down unnecessary expenses. Like, and we've seen students, it's so funny when they do these activities. They're like, okay, I'll cut my Netflix, or we'll split the Netflix account, or they'll buddy up with someone that they don't even really know in class for like Spotify and do like the family package. Like, have fun with it, but dollar by dollar, you can save so much. Like, honestly, if all of us like bought one less coffee a day, wow. Like I've seen some calculations around like, if you say like, I think it's like a coffee a day, if you don't buy, like you'll have enough towards buying a house in Australia in a lifetime. Like, it's insane. Like, and yeah, so cut out all of these expenses and start building this mindset and behavior into students and also into our lives. I once heard that 87% of Australians live paycheck to paycheck, which is crazy scary because it adds a stress that keeps you from thinking, from exercising, from having a calm mindset to make the right decision. Because when we're stressed for money, it creates stress in our family and it creates stress in our community. So please, let's educate all of Australia on financial literacy. Another thing is looking at banks. All of us have different banking needs. This slide actually I did about 4 years ago when I was traveling a lot, and I did it to show to the students, like business banking, a lot of banks have hidden fees, and Commonwealth at the time was one of the few banks that had no fees as a business. Most of the other banks were charging $10 to $15, which I think most banks have taken away. But you also need to take in consideration if, for example, in our case as accountants, spinners, we pay a lot of bills overseas, like a lot. And that adds up to hundreds of dollars, if not thousands, depending on the week. So consider that. It's what bank is going to help you. At a personal level, I personally, and this is me, I haven't compared banks for a few months, but ING has supported me so much around the world because they don't spend money on physical offices. So they have a bank with an amazing rate, free ATMs. And again, because I live overseas 90% of the year, they've got this thing that everything I pay on an ING card, the exchange rate and the transaction for overseas gets pulled back into my bank on the same day. So if you buy something for $100, you'll probably end up paying $3, $4 on international fees the same day that comes back. And that also adds up, depending on the day, to hundreds of dollars. So these two banks, for my lifestyle, have helped me. I know that a lot of students, when they're starting the business, they're also going towards these banks. But again, this is not financial advice on what bank to go. It's what works for you. I pay a lot of bills overseas. So these two banks have supported me, but at Academy Spinners, we've got many more bank accounts that give us different benefits. But it's important for us to start teaching the students on these things because sometimes there's a catch of free ATM, but there's hidden fees as well. So yeah, so start teaching the students to go similar to what we spoke to before, like project management. What is the right tool that will help me get to my goal when I'm mentoring the students? It's the same with a bank. What is my end goal? Do I need a bank that I can withdraw money really quickly because I'm going to be a market and I need to go in and exchange money? Do I need a bank that allows me to connect it really quickly to PayPal, or a bank that connects to crypto? I don't know. So do consider your goals in all of these. Next is the power of goal setting. You've seen me. This is the third time you guys see me. It's the third time I'm talking to you guys about is where are we going to get to? How do we measure and how do we stay focused? So I once was running a masterclass. This was a few years ago here in Australia with a school. And I said, I don't want any student coming out of class without making $100. The principal and the teacher told me that I couldn't say it, but I still said it because I want students to learn how to make money, create a positive impact. You guys know that everything we do is for positive impact, but we need to teach them how to make money that is positive money so they can have a meaningful life, help others, but also have a good life themselves. And this $100 that the teachers were scared of and the principal, to their surprise, not my surprise, all of the students were able to make. And I'll teach you guys some techniques around teaching your students to have the right mindset. So this is a SMART goal. In the next 7 days, I want my small business to make $100. And kids' eyes go, oh, $100? Because they're used to having little coins. And then you look at them and you're like, how much is your laptop, your shoes, that Beyonce jacket? It adds up. It's a lot more. And when they start calculating, so let's start teaching students how to make money. So I would love to work with you guys when we start the Boss Your Future on working with your students on making sure that they have a goal every day, a goal every week, a goal for the month, and a goal for the term, because the program's going to 5 weeks. I want them going into Christmas, New Year's Eve, continuously making money. So let's work on that. So if there's something I can ask you guys is set up maybe an Excel spreadsheet or a whiteboard and work with your students to make sure that they're focused, doing what they love, but they're progressing every day. And that ties into the next point, which is planning your expenses. I personally love teaching students how to start a business with $0. That has profit from day one. So a lot of people have this perception that starting a business is really expensive. Starting a business is very hard. You need a lot of money. No, there's so many business ideas that you can start with $0 and have money the first day. And there's many more that you can receive the money and deliver the product weeks or months afterwards, and you're actually holding on to the money. So it all goes with the power of mind. If you choose to make $100 in 7 days, I can guarantee you can make them. But you need to have the right mindset. And how do we do that? Let's go back to what we looked at in the first session, which is our Ikigai. What is it that I love doing, that I'm good at, that I can be paid for, that the world needs? And how do I make money, impact, and do what I love? And which brings us back to point number 2 of our first session, which is every business solves a problem. What problem am I solving? If I can clearly communicate the problem, people will pay me and pay me a lot to solve my problems. So if you are, I don't know, going to I don't know, If you are wanting to lose weight, you're going to spend more money on good quality foods because you have a goal. So people are coming to you as a nutritionist or to your organic little vegetable garden setup. So what is the problem that we're solving, and how do we communicate and charge the right price? If you guys need a lawyer for anything, you don't want to get the cheapest lawyer, because the cheapest lawyer will come with cheap service that is going to end up costing you a lot. And that's the same thing. We need students to understand, how do I do what I love, but how do I put a right price on it? And we will be teaching the students a lot about pricing. Talking about how to make $100 in 7 days without spending a single cent. Here's an example of a student. Here in Sydney, this student saw the opportunity and she just went, I love painting and I'm really good at teaching. She created a little post that she didn't spend any money on. She got the school to print. She designed it on Canva and she advertised in her school that on that Saturday, she was going to teach everyone how to paint. But remember, she didn't want to spend a single cent. Even if she got paid in advance, she didn't want to spend a single cent. So she charged $20 for 20 students to show up with their own crayons at the park, and she taught them how to paint. This student in 1 hour made $400, which is often what lawyers get in Australia. I don't know about you guys as teachers, but I don't think teachers are earning $400 an hour. This 14-year-old made $400 in her first hour without spending a single cent. So when I have had beautiful phone calls with you guys and you guys ask me, oh, can you give me ideas on businesses for the students? What happens if they create an app? How much money are they going to spend? We don't want the students spending too much money. There's ways of hacking it. We had these two students with hilarious in another school. They decided to create their own podcast and they got the school principal to be the first sponsor of the podcast, which was kind of genius as well. And again, the podcast room that they were using, it was in the school, which I thought was amazing. And the principal loved it. They're like, wow, you guys are building the school's podcast. I'll sponsor it. It was a win-win-win. So in the entrepreneurship world, we talk a lot about bootstrapping, which is how do we build like something as fast as possible with spending the least amount, if not possible, even no amount of money. So we were teaching a group of girls in another school here in Australia about bootstrapping, how they can build a business without spending any money. And these girls were really, really, really into music. They were all like, they were a group of almost like cousin looking, like they were all islanders. And these girls were shining. You'd come into the class, they were always, they had the coolest energy about them. And they told me about how much they loved music. So they recently had seen that the school had invested into a new 3D printer. So what they did is they did keychains where they would work with their community, their friends and friends of friends on understanding what is a song that they loved. And for Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, they would do keychains. And I didn't even know this was a thing, actually. Exactly like the QR code, Spotify has designed something that when you put your camera over the bar, it goes automatically to the song. So they started creating songs and playlists. They weren't spending any money because they were using the school's setup. So the school had leftover plastic. They negotiated with the principal and they started their own little business. And it's such a cool business. I would have loved to get like a keychain with your favorite song. Like it's just so cool. So can you see how so many of these ideas are doable? Or you can always like use your family, your house's kitchen or something to work, or your local community center to rent a space for free and have a music class, a dance class. There's endless opportunities that your students create. So starting a business is not about technology. People get very confused thinking that entrepreneurship is innovation. No, entrepreneurship is about solving a problem, and it doesn't require, often, it doesn't even require technology in it. So interestingly, with these group of girls with the keychain, they came to us. We hadn't even started talking about finance. We're talking about ideas. And they had already worked out on an Excel spreadsheet on the cloud. They had created an Excel on the cloud, shared between emails, and they were already creating pivot tables and organizing the expenses that they were going to have for them to scale the business in case they needed to order bulk plastic from overseas. And they had organized the timeline, how long it was going to take and how many they can produce per sheet. And they had calculated if they do it at this angle, they could fit a few more in all by themselves. So when schools come to me and go like, oh, my students can't learn math and they're scared of communicating, and I'm like, when you do what you love, you will learn math. You'll learn how to code in Excel. You will learn how to communicate. We just need to let students do what they love, which goes back to a question that I get asked by all of you guys. What are the rules? What are the sizes of the groups? And what do we do with the students? There's no rules for entrepreneurship. You can build anything at any time. Let your students do what they want. The only thing is mentor them so that if they fail, don't let them like give up. I had a student on the weekend, a Japanese girl. She wrote me this long email thanking for the support. And she said she was a failure because the government hadn't approved her $1 million grant application. I'm like, my dear, even I wouldn't have gotten that approved. And she was about to give up. So when you see moments like this, pull them in, give them a hug and explain. But besides that, let them do their own thing and motivate, push them forward. Just make sure that if they have little hiccups along the way, they don't give up on their idea. And that's why the whole concept, I'll go back to this page again and again and again. When you do what you love, that you know that it's in your soul, it's your life purpose to help, the chance of you giving up start reducing a lot. Cool. So these are some examples. This is really cool from the Australian government. Guys, Australia is the best country ever for all of the stuff. Like, it's unbelievable. Everything is just on a website. Like, clearly stated. So the Australian government has created a couple of web pages to help students or us as entrepreneurs manage. So there's a budget planner that calculates, so it helps you organize your business. So these are free tools from the government. So navigate the ATO, the Australian tax, this one, what's it? I just need to move this little bar. I can't see. Money Smart. This website has amazing templates for your students to download and also use. So super mega recommended. I think I have locked myself out of here. 1 second. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so this website is really, really, really good. Let me go back. Money. Cool. Awesome. Okay. So the question that I don't know how this ended up in this presentation, should I avoid credit cards? My suggestion is 1,000,000% yes. If you don't have money for something, you shouldn't be buying it. And there's so many easy ways. I was teaching a class the other day on these girls wanted to start a bakery. And I just went, why don't you just post the images on Instagram, collect the money, and then you work with your local baker on borrowing their oven. So look at ways that we don't need to bootstrap and we don't need money to start a business. And I am completely against students putting the business expenses on a credit card, because it can destroy the student's future forever. Because it starts with one, they start buying more and more. It depends on how much they borrow up front, like it can destroy. I know that in Australia, kids can't borrow, but they can put it on the parents' names. But I remember when I did university in Australia, my girlfriends in class when I was doing PR, it was absolutely insane, the credit card bills. And I'd be surprised if they finished paying it now more than 10 years later, because you just get stuck there forever. So please teach your students how to save money and make money and stay as far as possible from credit cards and business loans. I think every time I build a business, I think because I was raised in Africa, I always think of Africa. I'm like, there's people starving. If they've done it, I can do it. Let's build businesses, even if it takes a little bit longer for us to succeed. I'm also not the biggest fan of investors when you begin your business. As you scale, absolutely fine. But when you begin your business, I see a lot of people that are focused on pitching and looking for investors. Have the African mindset. Start today, because once you start, you're going to be tweaking, getting feedback. And in my case, I have investors coming to me and I say, thank you very much, but no thanks. I bumped into a super famous investor on Wednesday last week. Oh, it was so embarrassing because he's been chasing me for years. And I keep on saying no. And when he saw me, he's just like, I'd love to talk to you. I'm like, hello, my dear, I still don't need your money. So it's the other way around. So when you do what you love, you've got traction, you've got customers. And yes, maybe I could have borrowed this amazing investor's money. And maybe I could have grown a lot faster. But I don't want to have a gun to my head on reporting and doing things that will support him in making more money. I'd rather go slower, ethically, that I know that every decision I make is what's best for our students and our community. But this is my way of running a business, and it's the nature of the way I've structured Academy of Entrepreneurs. But try to teach your students to have an African mindset. These are some really cool examples of businesses that have taken over the world. And an interesting thing is, so these businesses here at Pakia started with $538 worth of savings. Threadless, Dell with 1,000. I'm reading the book. This is an amazing book. The founder of Dell has just launched a book. It's called Play Nice But Win. It's an amazing book, 100% recommend. Spanx, American Apparel, Wholesome Table, Under Armour, and GoPro. And you know what was interesting? I was actually Googling this about an hour ago. All of these businesses are worth $1 billion, except this one, which is the one that borrows the most. This one's 0.93 million. This is worth $930 million, which is still a lot. It's almost $1 billion. So the one that borrows the most is the one that's made the least amount of money. Most businesses, you don't need much to start. So please teach your students to dream big, but start small and continue going. So when we're building business, talking about the oxygen mask and an airplane, our suggestion is have 2 strategies. And this is more when we're dealing with adult students. We are dealing with high school students. It's number 1 is save for the first 6 months, so you can fully focus on your business. So if you're ready to jump in and you're ready to launch your business, whatever your business idea is, once you launch it, you will pivot 180 degrees at least 3 times before your first customer understands what you're doing. This is normal, at least. Out of every 10 businesses in the world, 1 succeeds. But it's a combination of the failures from before that will bring you to success. So if the student is 100 or this amazing young entrepreneur in university, or if you're mentoring your kids, if they're super ready to take on the step of being a full-time entrepreneur, amazing, go and do it, but make sure you have the first 6 months saved. Because if you have the first 6 months, you don't have to worry about rent for the next 6 months, food. Yes, you'll bootstrap, you can live on macaroni and cheese or instant noodles, absolutely fine, we've all done it. All of us have done it. A lot of people talk about like starting in a garage. When I started, I couldn't even afford a garage. Like it was the sofa. That's reality. But I had saved for the first 18 months. So I had nothing to worry about. I was bootstrapping so much that I would calculate what days I could go into the city and squeeze the meetings in. So I didn't have to pay for transport every day. So I don't have to buy the weekly pass. So look at saving, because every cent will help you. COVID came when every school was applying for bankruptcy. I looked at our bank account. I'm like, oh my God, this thing can go on for years and I can keep all of the staff employed because I had learned to save. We had made money ethically, but we also had saved. So teach your students to save and make sure if they're going to go full-time in this, they have money for the 6 first months. Awesome if they have the parents to back them up. They've got a sofa or a spare bedroom in the parents' house. Amazing. But teach them how to save and make sure they have the foundation or a side income. So you can work in a cafe in the morning from, I don't know, you wake up at 5 and you're in the cafe from 6 to 1. And that gives you the whole day to work because there's 24 hours in a day. So you can also look at what you can do for a side income. I've seen students translating, copywriting, blogging, editing videos, which is something, it's a skill that they have, they can do on the side and they can make money. Up until a few months ago, we had a lot of students with crypto and NFT making crazy money. So they block a few hours and they would do that. And it was working amazingly. But as we know, the situation right now, it is not the biggest recommendation. But yeah, so look at what you can do. And also look at how you can make the most of your time. Like I met this guy who he was a truck driver. He was making insane money on trading because it's just like, as I'm driving the truck, I can be checking the stock, and he was buying and selling. So he made more money from trading than driving the truck, but the truck gave him the foundation for him and his family to continue paying the mortgage. So teach your students how to not put all eggs into one basket. So by either having the savings or have a side job that they can help them fund and cover the expenses so that the money that they make stays in the business. Video saving. So saving is just as important as making money. Sometimes as an entrepreneur, you have some incredible wins and then you look at your bank account and you go like, oh my God. And you feel like a rock star. And that exact moment is the most dangerous moment you can be in. The day you can relax and just go, I don't have to worry, I can guarantee you're going to fail. Because that's when you go out and you go to Apple Store and just go new everything for everyone. I'm going to fly business class, guarantee you, you're going to fail. So please teach your students the importance of saving. I like teaching our students to save 50% of what they make out of the salary. So whatever they pay themselves, at least 50%, save it as a backup. But depending on how much 50% is, it changes. So there is an unbelievable Aussie book. For me, it's the best finance book I've ever read in my life. This book is unbelievable. And I can't believe the whole world is not talking about it. This book is so good that I've even seen it for sale at Woolworths. It's called The Barefoot Investor. It is priceless for you to read it and summarize it for your students. If you don't enjoy reading, there's an amazing YouTube called The Swedish Investor. And there is like a 10 minutes summary of this. And if you put it on double fast, like I do, you'll probably listen to it in 5 minutes. And it just has, priceless, like this should be compulsory in every school to teach students. And I guess a lot of the teachers and staff in schools also need to learn about this, because Australia, we've had so much money so easy that we forgot the importance of saving. So please, please, if I can give you a little homework for today, as you're cooking dinner, please, please, please watch this quick little video. Investing for a better tomorrow. Investing is not easy. There's a lot of risk in investing, and investors can be mean, but also when we're investing, we want to look after our money. I could run a whole class on investment from stock to crypto. Like, I don't know if you guys are into crypto, super recommend you guys to visit CoinGecko, and then you can click and to see the graphs and the growth in the last hour, 24 hours, day, month, and so forth. So you can see what's going up and down. This was a screenshot from Sunday, I think. But when we're investing into our future, my recommendation is us as humans and teaching our students, invest into something that will make the world a better place. Because these are huge problems that we haven't found solutions. And the chance of them succeeding is a lot bigger because more investors are looking at that. Customers are demanding that. Like you go and you buy shampoo now, the packaging is recycled, the shampoo is organic. We as customers are demanding that. And we see the difference in our health. So when our students are looking at investing their time towards making a business or investing their money into the future, is make sure that we are investing into business that make a positive impact, but also they're solving problems, which means that these problems are bigger business opportunities. I am very involved in the investment world, but what I see is that we as investors, we invest into things that we know. So if you give me an education startup idea, in the first 30 seconds from the tone of voice and the business idea, I know if it's going to fail or succeed. It's 2 seconds because I've lived and breathed education as an entrepreneur since I was 9 years old. But if you talk to me about e-commerce, I understand the concept, but I'll make a few phone calls from my investor friends and I'll let them guide me on making the decision. So I've had a lot of amazing business deals falling on my laptop. And a lot of them, it looked really nice, but I wasn't an expert in the industry. And then as soon as I spoke to investor friends that are experts in those industries, they're like, stay away, stay away, stay away. So if you are looking at investing or teaching your students to invest, the best thing is for you to invest in an industry that you are passionate about, that you know a lot about. And I think even more important is an industry that you can contribute to. So if I'm investing in any business linked to education, it takes me one phone call to reach anyone and help that entrepreneur that I'm investing in to succeed, whether it is with mentoring or connections or training for the future. So this is something super important for us to think about, because we need to remember at the end of the day, every business solves a problem. So you need to solve a problem that you have the expertise and the connections to help, and then like have the right knowledge to see where your money is getting put in. And final section, which is revenue models. So I love this. This is again the same Max that taught us about the mask. He's very involved in the startup world. He's an investor. He does mergers and acquisitions around the world. And it was interesting. I was in Hollywood recently with him, catching up, writing a course, and he's just like, Paula, look around. Everyone in a cafe is building the pitch deck. And he's just like, Hollywood was like this 15 years ago where everyone was writing a Hollywood script and all of them have failed. And there's this whole thing around like, it's cool to be doing a startup and raising money for investors. But the reality is that if you don't have revenue, if you don't have paying customers, you don't have a business. So train your students to understand that they can only call themselves an entrepreneur once they've had the first paying customer, which is not the neighbor, it's not the grandmother, it's not the girlfriend or boyfriend, it's not the godmother. A real business has real paying customers, and that's when they go from one-preneur to entrepreneur. So until they haven't converted their first sale with a real customer, they're not a business owner. So start teaching students the importance of taking that step forward and talking to real customers until they can start converting them. So when we look at building businesses, there's many ways, there's unlimited ways that we can make money. Direct sales, Advertising, you can build a website, or like we had the students with the podcast and they had the principals sponsoring it. Subscriptions, free when it starts free, and as people use more features, they start paying for it. Donations, franchise, commission. You can set up a business. Part of our business, we have a business with International where we build a program and people resell and they keep a commission out of it. But we also have people that buy it and they top up, and we've got people that franchise what we have. Sponsors, and also on demand. So service model, this is an example. We're going to be covering over 30 examples for your students. The service model is when you charge students for a service as an accountant, as a lawyer, as a hairdresser. So the different levels of services that we can offer, and it can be done online or face-to-face. Products, that's a way of making money. You sell a product, a car, a phone, a puzzle, a soccer ball, anything. Commission revenue, so you can be making money like you see with the travel agents or the brokers when you're borrowing money from the bank to buy a house. They make money out of the commission. So travel agents, and these days there's even platforms. Yesterday I was running an agriculture program, and there's like e-commerce platforms to help the agriculture industry work out, and then they get a commission. That's super cool business. Licensing revenue models. So this is getting more and more popular, especially with the whole like influencer creator economy. Then you've got like these amazing influencers where they put their branding over. Like I saw one, a really cool one once. It was like bottles of water, and this amazing Australian celebrity, she had done her bikini line with the bikini brand, and then you could buy her brand and you would get the pattern of the bikini with a matching water bottle. It was so cute. So yeah, so there's so many cool things that you can do when it comes to licensing. Renting or leasing. I've seen a lot of students overseas leasing like the laptops for students that couldn't afford it, so they would use half the day and lease it to friends in other days. I've seen students buying and leasing like equipment for gardens, and often they're leasing the parents' gardening equipment. So, and it's not just, I've seen I've personally, not too often, but in a few times, whenever I can, if I'm given the option, I would rather lease something and not have it stored in my garage than pay full price and just have it there. So it's part of the behavior. Like I think millennials, Gen Z, like we're not so attached to holding onto things. Like probably phone is the thing that this generation cares the most about. Everything else, like they're happy to share. So when you ask, like the car industry, for example, is super struggling, because if you ask them, do you want to have a car? They're like, no, I'll just Uber, I'll get public transport. So it's changed a lot, the mindset. So the generation is really into leasing and renting things. Subscriptions, we know that it super works, and the awesomeness of subscriptions these days, that most of them you can sign up and you can unsign any moment, and you just often don't pay for more than a month. Advertising revenue models. So we've got a lot of students that get paid to advertise on the social media or build a blog that's got enough viewers. So it's all about tracking your numbers. For those of you guys, I don't know if you guys have received, but I ran a presentation this afternoon for the Australian government on Instagram branding for entrepreneurs. So if you visit the Academy of Entrepreneurs YouTube, you'll be able to see. And I spoke a lot about that, is using Instagram to help kids make money. So how do you make money on Instagram? By working with influencers to promote your business, but also how do you become an influencer and promote other brands? So if you want some tips around that revenue model, you've got a 1-hour masterclass that I ran today live, and it's sitting on our YouTube. Crowdfunding, students love it. And this is so cool. You build like a landing page within a page like Kickstarter, and you can do an impact project that you raise funds and you get paid in advance. And often it's around creating a positive impact. Interest-based revenue. So it's very common in banks, and we're seeing a lot of digital wallets and a lot of things like that. So yeah, so that's another way of making money. Not so doable for students, but it's important for them to understand, because this is a service that they might be using, so they can go when they go to the bank, they're like, oh, that's how you guys make money. Donations. This is one that you have to be a little bit careful when we're teaching students, because people have this perception that people just need to donate money into the bank account, but the reality is that they want something, whether they want their branding or tax deductibility is no longer something attractive for people just to donate. But I will share with you guys 2 case studies of 2 businesses that I love here in Australia. One is called Lentils, and it's a vegan restaurant over in Newtown that you go in, and the space is really inspirational. It has the most delicious, like soul feeding food, best service ever, and you pay however much you want when you leave. And another one is Barefoot Yoga in Surrey Hills, that you pay however much you want when you finish the yoga class. And psychologically, when there's an impact business creating something with purpose that you pay at the end if you've enjoyed, there's a lot of stats that show that we as customers pay even more. So in the case of Barefoot, I got access to some data. This was a few years ago, but the average yoga class, if you buy a season, like a ticket, is like normally $25 for a class. And Barefoot was getting paid on average $50 per class because people weren't forced to pay. And because they were paying after they had the result of having this amazing meal in the stomach or this amazing yoga class, and there was so much love in both of these businesses that they were getting paid even more. So I thought this was a really cool way of working with a donation, like in a psychological way. So it's really cool. Cool. So we always, as an activity, get the students to mix different revenues. So we tell them, don't put all eggs into the basket. It's way too risky these days, considering that we've got so many challenges that we don't need to talk about everything that's happening in the media. So we always teach students, how can you make money in 3 different ways? Yes, 20% of what we do give us 80% of the results, but how can we make money in a unique way and multiple different channels so that in case one part of the business fails or there's an emergency, we've got different revenue models for our business. So to finalize, here are some ideas. And this is just analyzing trends. This idea I've pulled in to show you guys, but this, for example, wouldn't work right now. So no one was buying pants, but everyone started buying pajamas a couple of years ago. I don't have to talk about what. We don't want to talk about the past, but I have a student at Academybreneurs that made $2 million on the first year of this crazy year selling pajamas. She was a physiotherapist, had never run an e-commerce in her life, is not Instagrammable at all, but she just built this beautiful experiences with beautiful boxes, started creating the unboxing experiences by working with influencers, and she made $2 million in selling pajamas. This is really cool. These 2 boys over in Melbourne, they made $70,000 a month on selling puzzles. So, and a bit of the business model was on drop shipping. So they didn't even in advance buy the puzzle. They would they would get the sale and then they would go in and get it delivered. And this was the time they were all looking at fun things to do at home. So reality is that money's everywhere. So we need to see what are some opportunities. So you guys, I've received a lot of emails in the last 24 hours going, can you give me some business ideas? What do we do with our students? So I thought I'd put some of them here, but I will be sharing more videos with you guys in the next few weeks. But business that you can start today. You can be a tutor. Every student, there's one subject that they do well. Every student, even if it's sports, it is still a subject. So like students could start teaching that and making money today. Car washing. You could walk to your neighbor's house and use their water and it doesn't cost you anything. And it doesn't take much skill for you to wash someone's car. And I would love to have someone walking to my house and washing my car once in a while because I don't have time to drive to the car wash. So simple business idea. Pet sitting, dog walking doesn't take much skills and you can help in your local community, in your street, and you can give an hand. And also gardening. Talking about gardening, in my street, there's this dad who's like a professional gardener, and he got his 2 kids to walk around on the street, knock on the door and say that the kids could do it. These 2 kids are doing the whole street. My street has probably maybe 40, 50 houses. They're charging us $500 to do a garden every week. These kids are making crazy money and they're just borrowing the parents' like tools and they're walking around a safe street. So these are simple things that your students, and these are businesses, doesn't involve technology. Don't judge your students for not coding the next Amazon or Facebook. These are businesses that you can make crazy money on. In the space of creativity, because we know that all of the students are very creative these days, photography and video editing. Most adults suck at taking photo. Love my mom. She's my best friend. And every time I give her my phone, I'm like, Mom, take a photo. Guaranteed it's a disaster. Like 100% of the time. I hold the camera, I take nothing. So photo editing, photography, these are like amazing ideas. Voiceover, we had a really cool student, high school student, and he trained on how to create all these like journalism, and he was getting hired to do like voices for cartoons and stuff. TikTok videos, like I've just hired this TikTok manager. She's getting us 30,000 views on TikTok. Like it's insane. And they do it so fast. Yes, I could do it, but why would I spend so many hours if she can do it so much faster? So I've literally given Natasha access to my Google Photos and also obviously all the company like files, and she just pulls stuff and she creates and we just approve and it's done. Picnic basket. I saw a lot of students doing picnic baskets a few months ago, but I think it's something that's still cool. And now that's hopefully will stop raining, we can go back to having picnics on the sunshine on the weekend. And I had this gorgeous high school student in Panama once, and she came from like a public school, didn't have access to much, had a beautiful soul. And she saw that often when we give presents, the presents are good, but the boxes weren't good enough. So she started walking around her community, picking up leftover pieces of cardboard and boxes, and she created these stunning boxes. And she was selling them for around $10, which in Panama is a lot of money. It's like selling a box for $100 in Australia. But because it was sustainable, because she was sharing her story, how she was cleaning the streets of Panama, and the boxes were unbelievably beautiful, like stunning. So yeah, so these are some ideas, because I know that most of your students are like more than capable of starting today. And then there's also some business ideas on online skills like coding. Like if they go on AWS, so Amazon, like it's called AWS skills training, just Google it. There's hundreds of free courses your students can start today, get a skill and start selling. And they can go into any platform like freelancer.com and they can start selling the services. And also everything is just so easy. It's so front end, so you don't have to be editing. Wix as a website. I remember I ran a PR firm for a few years here in Australia, and we were selling a lot of websites. And there was this client that had given us $10,000 to build a website. I called the web company that we should outsource it to, and they said they were too busy and not interested in the project. And I had promised the client the website in 2 days. I just went, how the hell? And I always deliver on my promise. I'm like, how the hell am I going to find like someone that I can trust that is good? I went in Wix, didn't sleep for a whole day, but made $10,000 and delivered the website on time. And I had no design skills, like zero. The client was so happy. I think the client held onto the website for at least 5 years, because I would go back and visit. I'll be like, oh my God, you guys are still using this website. Little did they know that I didn't even have, I wanted to outsource, but couldn't find anyone. So I did it myself. So yeah, so a platform like Wix, the students can knock on door of people and create a simple website, which for them is 2 seconds to create. Once you've created one website, it's super easy. And you can go on YouTube and get classes. So these are some very, very, very basic ideas of things your students can do. And you can tie them towards making the world a better place. So maybe they can do 2 for 1. Buy a website with me and I'll build a website for free for our foundation. Let me code and I'll teach a kid how to code or create a job for them. Creating job is something of impact as well. The sustainable boxes, instead of throwing away things, she was collecting garbage and doing it. Picnic baskets, they could be sustainable picnic baskets, or maybe in a way that even you give back the cutlery and the box and it can be resold, so you're not polluting as much. So yeah, so these are just some very, very, very simple ideas, because I know that a lot of you guys are like wanting to support your students with ideas. So these are some to get them inspired. They're not very inspirational, they're basic ideas, but something to get your students started. Cool. Most important, do what you love and you'll find solutions in businesses. So yeah, it's Vasa Future, our students and so forth. Connect. I think I'm connected with you guys, most of you guys on LinkedIn now, but please connect on Instagram. I've been posting a lot of stuff there, and TikTok as well on Academy-Finesse. Here to help you guys. And now over to you guys. I've got a phone call that starts now with one of the Boss Your Future sponsors, but I can get him to wait 5 minutes. So yeah.
Paula, I've got a quick question. What are your thoughts? Some schools are nervous about kids keeping the money from their businesses, and so they're getting them to run social action projects or donating to charity. What are your thoughts there?
I have seen a lot of schools asking me that. There's one specific school that said they don't want to do money at all, and I respect this, the choice. I am super pro towards having money and kids making money and saving it themselves. If they want to donate it to charity, please do. But you don't even know what the charity is going to do. Half the time charities spend it on marketing on the wrong things. I would rather have your students doing something and doing good themselves, so you can get the money and buy food for a homeless and take the time and help the homeless build a resume and find a job for the homeless. I don't know. I like seeing impact close to me. Like I help everyone. You guys know I help everyone, but I'm not the type of person that writes checks for foundations. If you want something, I will spend $1,000 and give you my staff, my time. I fly to orphanages every month, and I use my time and I donate everything I have of energy and time. All of the staff of Academy-Finesse have unlimited volunteering hours. but it's about creating an impact. The money, I am not the